inside my own world of make-believe. Hush.
A couple days ago, I picked up this 1986 Toyota Celica GT in hopes that it would be an easy fix and I would profit off of it enough to buy the parts we needed to finish up Bowtie Betsy. So my first thoughts probably was the fuel pump, a relay or a fuse, which I started investigating, found the hatch in the back seat for the fuel gauge sensor, and pretty much called it quits from there, thinking that I was positively sure it was the fuel pump, because when I would turn on the key, I wouldn't hear the fuel pump kick on or off. Later that night, someone had mentioned in a comment on the video, the first video, you should check out the put a voltage meter on it and check out to make sure it's getting voltage before I do all the work and taking the gas tank down and trying to replace the fuel pump. I took that advice the next day. I grabbed the voltmeter. Yeah, we tested the fuel pump. I tried turning the key on with the voltmeter connected in with no luck and no reading. So after playing around with that for, I don't know, about an hour, I decided to try to check relays and fuses under the hood. One of the two fuses connected to the battery was able to pull the one out, but not the other one. So I figured it was jammed in there. So I proceeded with a pair of pliers, trying to yank it out, which I had squished it and broke it. Then, once I did that, I had took a screwdriver and jammed it underneath and tried prying it out, which I pretty much completely destroyed it after that. Then I found out that there was actually two Phillips head screws on either side of that fuse that released it. So I pretty much, destroyed it for nothing, and because I had overlooked the two screws and was pretty much trying to rush through it. Lessons learned. As I got further into trying to diagnose it, I decided to rehook the voltmeter back up to the fuel pump wiring and try cranking it as I watched the voltage meter to see if anything would change, and sure did. It seems that you have to have this car turning over, I guess, for it to read any kind of voltage out of the fuel pump wiring. Maybe that's how this car works, I'm not sure. So with that, I reconnected the fuel pump and I went under the hood and loosened the fuel filter nut. And then I tried cranking it again, which that blasted fuel out all underneath the hood and poured out under the car. So at that point, I realized that the fuel pump was operating and that fuel was running up towards the fuel rail. So after that, I decided to see if we had spark. So I had pulled off one of the spark plug wires, jammed another spark plug I had laying around into it, and I cranked it over to see if it would spark, and it didn't. After that, I decided to pull the cap off of the distributor to do an inspection, which it looked like there was a buildup on the cap and the rotor. So I took some sandpaper and I cleaned it off, put it all back together and cranked it over again. Still would not start. So after that, I took off the distributor cap again, and when I did, I noticed that the rotor was still in the same clocked position as it was when I took it off the first time. So I set up the camera on the rotor, as you guys can see, cranked it over, and it did not spin. So after that, I did like most of us do. I Googled the problem. Why doesn't the distributor turn?
According to your mechanic, if the distributor is not turning but the camshaft is turning, then pull out the distributor and look at the gears. If the gear on the distributor and the gear on the camshaft is intact, then the camshaft broke before the gear.
Alright, y'all heard it. You gotta pull off the valve cover now. See what that single overhead cam looks like. Then I proceeded on taking the valve cover off to see if I had a cracked camshaft. So then I proceeded on pulling the distributor completely out to see if the teeth were broken or stripped. Then proceeded on pulling the valve cover off to see if the camshaft had cracked, which both seemed fine. So then I went back to what I did originally when we first got the car in part one of this, and I loosened the two top bolts for the timing cover, and this time I stuck my finger on the belt and yanked it, and it sure was loose. So at this point, I'm thinking maybe just the tensioner for the timing belt had either got loose or maybe fell off. So this is where we're at now. We got to get this wheel off right here, which I'm going to take this other lug nut and I'm going to weld it to this lug nut because this is a locking nut and I don't have the key for it. So we're just going to weld that to there and we're going to get this last one out, get the wheel off, and yeah, we're going to start taking off these parts up here so we can get down to this timing belt and reset it. Hopefully it's just the tensioner that popped off, and yeah, she'll start right up. Well, that didn't work at all. I wonder why it didn't stick. Round 2. Oh yeah. Took about 8 minutes of filming, but we got her off. All right, we got that wheel off. So yeah, got a couple bolt here, another bolt here, maybe one over here. We get this plastic piece off, and I can see the main bolt for the crank right here. So, but I'm pretty sure I'm gonna have to, yeah, take a bunch of this stuff off as well. And I'm probably gonna have to take off the motor mount right here, and yeah, do the whole crank the engine up, down, whatever, let it drop. This way we can get this whole cover off and yeah, get the tensioner exposed. So I got this whole shit apart, got this timing belt off. Seems like the belt was seized and yeah, it was spinning on the crank, but the rest of it looks fine. So I ended up finding out it seems like the camshaft is seized, and yeah, it was holding the belt and the position it was, and then yeah, when the crank spun down here, it just shredded that portion of the belt right there. So yeah, I don't know where I'm at with this, but when I did take it from my friend, we did make a deal. I didn't have to pay him until I fixed it, so I also told him if I couldn't fix it, I would just return it to him, or you know, drive it to the scrap yard for him, whatever he wanted to do. Or I might just put it online. Could be somebody in this area that's looking for one of these for a parts car for themselves. You know, maybe they got a good engine. I am considering going to pull apart though, and trying to pull off that top. It looks like that's like a 2-portion head. I've never seen this before, but that's what it looks like to me. Looks like there's a first portion that's right here, and then the second portion of the head goes from there to there where the spark plugs are in, and the upper portion here is where the camshaft is. Alright, got the valve cover back off, and I'm checking out these lobes. I mean, the lobes look nice. They all look nice. I don't understand why it's seized. Yeah, they all look nice and shiny. There ain't no cracks or scratches really, you know, except like just the normal stuff you'd see on a lobe. Yeah, I guess I'm gonna have to take that first portion of this head off to see what the hell's going on. And yeah, not even budging. Well, if anything, this will just be a learning experience for me. Yeah. Hey, you win some, you lose some. And then sometimes you just, yeah, waste your damn time. Alright, we got the cam gear off. I got all those nuts, all the nuts and bolts holding down the upper part of the head. Yeah, I gotta figure out, it's like another bolt somewhere. Oh, there it is. I missed the one right there. But it seems to be seized in there, definitely. that seems like what's going on. The cam is seized in this fucking upper head housing piece here. So I guess that's what happened, and that's why I just stalled out on them while they were driving. I guess they were driving, it just seized up. I don't know why it would do that, except for maybe oil not getting up to the top. That's my conclusion. Maybe the oil pump down there wasn't getting the oil up to the top, or if anybody that caught the first video, there was no oil on that dipstick. So yeah, they probably ran it low on oil. It didn't put any in or even care to check it. I don't know. People that don't, I guess, care much or know enough about cars to do these things. This is how most of them get destroyed. Because people don't know how to top their fluids off and check them at least, once every week or month. So that's my conclusion. Lack of oil, or the oil pump's not working, and it caused the upper part of that head where the camshaft spins into seized. Alright, I got the stud out, so I was able to slide that upper portion of the head out with the cam in it. So yeah, I'm going to try to take this plate off on the top, and then I'm going to see if I can somehow, slide that cam out of this casting. Maybe we can just free it up. Maybe take a little sandpaper. I don't even know. I'm going to try something. Maybe we can do something with it. I'm not sure. So I'm still playing with this thing. It's getting about dark right now, but spraying some of this penetrating spray on here, right here where the cam goes in on each deck or whatever you want to call it. And then I found a bolt that's screwed in where the pulley went, and then I got this puller tool here where I'm slamming it, and I'm hooking it with the bolt with that, trying to pop it out. So with no luck. So now I'm going to try heating it up with the torch. I'm going to heat each one of these up real quick, try to do it quickly, and then bang it out with that tool. Maybe trying to get it out, but it's pretty seized in there. Like I was saying before, they probably didn't have oil in there, or the oil pump went, or they didn't put oil in the engine, one of the two. That bastard's stuck in there good. All I did was waste damn penetrating spray, map gas, and my energy. All right, we're gonna cut to the ending I recorded earlier. Hunk of Junk. How do you like those special effects, eh? Well, that's it, y'all. That's it for this one. I'm gonna throw all these parts in the back seat, push this motherfucker back over there, and we're gonna get started working back on Betsy. The next video we'll be posting will be the catch can. Peace and love, and I'll see y'all on the next one.